Hello everybody and welcome to The Beginner's Guide. I am your host, ERASABLE Drake, and this is a little bit more serious game. I've played through this game like I don't even know how many times. This is a great game. It's a narrative story like I usually play, things that I normally like. And this game gets pretty like deep and pretty into it, and I just want to kind of give you that before I go through. Like I said, I've played through it a lot, so I'd really like to kind of keep a little bit more quiet. And like I said, it's more of a story-driven game, so I want to show you more of a story as opposed to a lot more commentary. I'll probably split this up into two sections. I do believe it's an hour and a half, so I'll do about 45 minutes this first run through, and then I'll finish it up the second run through. Probably next weekend, or maybe a little bit later on during the weeks. 45 minutes isn't really a lot of time, but I really want to have this, and like I said, it's a great game, and I've played it so many times, and I've definitely loved it. So let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna turn up y'all's audio a little bit just because it's more of someone else talking. But I'll cut in occasionally. Hopefully you get to hear me, because that was some of the problems I was having with some of my videos. Why is this taking so long?
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Dave.
Okay, let's see, options, video, advanced options. Audio, master, narration, enable, full captions.
Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I did not mean to do that. Okay. Well, let's go. There we go. Okay, that was my fault. I thought that was apply. Let's get back to it.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Oh. It's been a little bit of a time since I played this game, but I have played this game.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Me too. Yeah, the stars look great. Development is one of those things. I tried my hand at it with the Unity engine, and I couldn't get on it. It wasn't for me. It was kind of well for me. I understand. I know some people that are really great with that kind of stuff. I'll just stick to playing on it.
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
I've always wanted.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
No, okay, let's go. For time's sake, because I'll be here
Okay,
for hours.
this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Okay. I'm sorry, popping my fingers. I know it's bad for me.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering a whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
No. When you try and be selfish, but they just won't let you.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh, God. We want to do this now? I'm trying to fill up my drink. I'm thirsty.
the beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
What?
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
The past was behind her. Oh, what? I missed the whole story of my life.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
But the future could not be seen. Why does the future keep changing? What? Oh. Come on. Like I said, it's been a while. Yeah, there we go. I was right. I knew that. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Crap. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Next one. You are now entering.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
I agree.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in nearly every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Do it, push.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Jump. Oh, I thought I did jump. Can I jump off? No, okay. Never actually done that before. Come on, let's go. You walk around taking people down, pursuing their hopes and dreams. A key in one game lost to a completely separate game. Play as a pair of floating eyes and then footsteps and noises. You are the queen.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
I'm going to try and get all of these in the title, or in the shot, so that way if you want to, you can pause them and read them. I've actually took the time and read through them. Ready, set, fish.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I can.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to see it a lot.
And these three dots. These three dots or something we'll see again. I just felt like I had that little bit of commentary. Nothing really, behind it. You will see it again.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay, and boom.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I think it's crazy he went through the process of designing all of that. We're now exit.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
March 2009. The great and lovely December. That's bright. Crap, that's bright.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Okay, every time I've always been able to do this, but we will see about this time. No. Did I die? Bye. Jump over there. Run. But there's this. Okay.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Thanks, you really made
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Wow. There's some light. Oh, there's more light. The three dots again.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
This sound that this gives off, I guess like music. This part actually really creeps me out.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Dog wants to eat so loud. You think you want to trust me, you don't like to describe it. I don't want to tell him how to solve it. Like, I know it's kind of like, oh no, but we do. We need to get there. Do you understand? We have to escape this prison. There must be a way. I promise you, there is nothing I won't want. Oh yeah, this part is gonna make me very jealous. Thank you. There was a puzzle. No, I've been right here the entire time. As you go into the bubbles and bubbles into the cell, it's a black space. Like I saw. Actually, I said black space. Actually, I said black space. That signifies like being alone, like having solace. It's just peaceful. Like, you know, sometimes I like to just be alone and just chill out. Not have this loud dog eating next to me. I mean, like, you know, everyone wants their own time. I think that's a back and base there. That's just my opinion.
and so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level. It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
No, the darkness. Loading. April 2009. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. A note. Ah, God. Nice room. God.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
You can't actually get down there. I've tried. I've actually watched. Before I bought this game, I watched YouTube videos on this game, and I was always like, why are none of them going down there? And then once I started playing this, I found out myself. So now you guys know it, instead of being like, well, why didn't he go down there? I don't want to go through all of these just because there is a lot, but I do want to hit a majority of them. And if it really means a lot to you, like, you can go ahead and pause and get a look for them. And it's kind of like what Davey was saying. Like, I definitely understand like where he's coming from. Like, it's very lonely to just be doing something like this. But at the same time, like, I feel, especially me, I like to play these interactive story games. And most of the stories are written by people, not necessarily the game developers, but they're written by people. So I feel like I kind of connect with a free t-shirt. someone from their stories and like how they're able to tell stories and just their ideas. And it's always good to kind of see that and see other people. And I'm not gonna go out there and socialize with everyone and be like, oh, hey, you're my new best friend. So I mean, I can kind of understand, you know, where Baby's coming from, the whole like messy socializing stuff. Yeah, well, we're gonna try for that jump. Try and make it. I don't think we can. I don't think that's a thing. No, that's not a thing. I really wanted to go over there. It's a cool little piece of art. Actually, I wonder if I can find it and use it as my background. I love how I said I'm not gonna read all of these things or like go through all these things. This is a note, but I pretty much have. Don't listen to the other notes. I'm not safe. Stop faking it. These are all these notes. That's all. That's what I'm guessing they are. Art. I think it's nice and close and perfect from far away. Cabbage shaped donation. I don't know what Coda's fixation with cabbage is. From up here, it looks just like dots. You can hear whispering in the back. That's kind of unsettling. I love that the first time I played this. It's painting, isn't it? But I guess I can understand, like, it's all in notes and talking. You all suck. Double Tower Star. Okay, some of them are repeats, but it doesn't mean anything. We will all die someday. Who are you? Well done, all of you. Let's see, can we jump down there? We can. Okay. Some of these notes get kind of dark for you themselves.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
I think that's a good way to put it. You know, it's open to interpretation.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. to step back and connect the pieces together, to grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
I think because he said, like, you know, how do you really know? Are you there? Please say something. We need you. Porn stars.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Well. This is actual representation of my house. Like, yeah, sorry, my ear itched. It was weird. Wait, am I going? Yeah, I'm going right.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Okay. What furniture ought to go to the center? How about TV with surround sound? What? Okay, well you're missing the TV. What about on the walls of the room? Put a huge picture of a horse. 10 stoves. I like to cook. That works too. I guess I need a place to sit. I think we should light up this room a bit. A skylight full silver soft LED ceiling lights. We'll put Tesla coils. Yes. R lamps. And a table. You need a table. I have a table right there. Who are you? Where exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference. Tables were invented in 1935. Tables were invented in 1935.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
It's a furniture maze. What else is the bit?
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello. Please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. There's the 3 dots again. First, click on this table. Good. Go over the photo frame and click it to turn it around slightly. This one. The floor lamp. Turn it back on. Oh. Left sofa. Left sofa. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it. Interval prison. Escape. Open. Return to the start. Take over. Yeah. Let's go escape. Return.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Okay. Here we go. There's that lamppost again. Hello, it's me. Hey, it's me. I'm after you escaped the prison. You're me. You were trapped in this prison too? Yeah, I was in the current one.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I'm so glad you moved to get out of this. What's it like to escape? Actually, I'm it's strange. I couldn't That's crazy. Wants advice, and then you're stuck in this prison. People get stuck at times in their lives, and after you move forward, you're always going to be a different person. That's still who you are, and that should still always be a good thing. It's hard to describe. Wait, if you mean that will free me? How does that work? It's like, to me this is like a really dark conversation because you just talk to me. It makes sense. That's like, I don't know.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, that gave me chills.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Okay.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
I think this is one of my favorite levels, and this level actually it means a lot. I just really didn't wrap my head around this level. Even though these box people are really creepy.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result. After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
There's a bit of truth in it. So, housekeeping. Let's keep doing
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace. But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
So to me, I think, since, this is like a beginning of a door over there, and then the last into the door, I feel like this house cleaning that we saw is actually a representation of what's in the middle, like for Coda, like something cleansing, something like rehabilitating for the soul. And well, that's what I think, and I think it's an interesting thought, just because this game, there's a series of his work, and it's open to interpretation and things like that. And Davey obviously has some points in what he thinks, but the beauty of it is you can make your own opinion. And there's the lamppost.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it. This one gets a bit goofy.
Why did you come here? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. And your friends, the people in your life look at you and think, wow, this person's a better human than I am. Right now, who do you think that way? You feel disgusted with yourself. Compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful, and that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly. This is easy. It is so easy. It is
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
effortless. Oh, okay. I guess this is supposed to
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
But it kind of just shows like everyone's trying to be perfect, but everyone's got this last eye on waiting to be not so perfect, not everything to them. That's what I get from this. That's well. Let's be awful. That's good. Drinking is not good in my life. Oh, Jesus. These are really, really messed up hands with some ecstasy after this. Oh, Lord. Oh, that last one. That last one.
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
I remember
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Okay, this is a good stopping point, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Like I said, I want to split this up into two pieces, and I think that I am about to have a live stream with friends, so hopefully that will be on here in a few minutes. Hopefully everything goes well, but we'll see. And I'd still like to live stream the game until dawn, and I need to give y'all another Song of the Deep. I've been trying, but I'm a horrible person, and I do apologize for that. This has been the first part to the beginner's guide, and like I said, I'm very just in love with this game, and I've played it I don't even know how many times, and I really hope you enjoy it. And I'm really trying to go with the questions that I had, because I know I had a lot of questions the first time I saw it, which was originally a playthrough, and I had a lot of questions and things like that, and everyone kind of did the normal commentary thing, but I really want to give you my opinion and my feels on this game, just so you can kind of understand me as a person a little bit better, and you can understand this game, and then at the same time you can make your own opinions based on this game, just because that's kind of what this game is. It's open to interpretation, and I want to emphasize that, as opposed to just giving you my opinions and only my opinions, or just letting you see someone else's opinions. I want you to be able to go and be like, nah, this is what I think. You know what? Erasable's right at this part, but I think he got this a little bit wrong. So, I mean, hopefully, you really enjoyed it, and hopefully that's something. So, if you like the video, go ahead and like it. Leave a comment if you would. This has been the Beginner's Guide, and I will see you in the next part.